Now that you have your C compiler installed, the only thing you need to do before you can start writing your C programs is to get a text editor of some kind. I'm using Notepad++ in Windows, but if you're using Linux, you'll probably want to use something like Gedit. And even if you're using Windows, you could just use Notepad, although Notepad++, as you can probably guess, is much better. Okay, so this program, your first C program, you'll want to copy and save it into a .c file. I've named mine, as you can see, first.c. Once you have that done, you'll want to open the command prompt or terminal if you're using Linux. Here we go. And it's important to note that I am located in the directory where I've saved my file. This directory here has to be the same as what's up here, or basically just the same as where you saved the file. So, to compile this file, we have to type gcc, which is our compiler, and then the name of the file, of the C file that we want to compile. In this case, it's first.c. And then we hit enter. Since we got no output here, just a blank line, we know that it compiled correctly. If it had put information here, it would almost definitely mean that we'd gotten an error of some kind. So we're good for now. But how do we run that file now that we've compiled it? When you compile it, it takes it and puts it into an executable file. And since we didn't specify what that file was to be called, it's going to default and put it in a file called A. Since we're using Windows, it'll be an a.exe file, but if we had been using Linux, it would put it in an a.out file. So to run this in Windows, all we have to do is type A. You can type the .exe if you want, but it's not required. So A. And it outputs hello world, which is exactly what we had expected. If you were using Linux, you would have typed ./a.out. And of course, that does nothing in Windows, but in Linux it would have had the same result. So now to explain this program a little bit. The first line is an include, and we've included a file called stdio.h. And std stands for standard, and io stands for input output. So basically, we just included a file that contains information on standard input and output. And in this case, we're outputting information to the terminal. And this is where we do that, right here. This outputs information to the terminal. Whatever we have inside of these parentheses and inside of these quotation marks will get outputted to the terminal. Now the quotation marks themselves don't get outputted, only what's inside of them. So, if you want to output something different, for example, whatever your name might be, now my name is Sheldon, I'm going to output this instead. So now I'm going to go back to the terminal. If you hit the up arrow key on your keyboard, it will cycle through previously run commands. So keep hitting the up arrow key on your keyboard until you get back to gcc first.c. So we're going to recompile it. Alright, we're still good. And now you can hit the down arrow key and go back to the A. So up and down, cycle through commands backwards and forwards. So we're going to hit A. And what do you know? It prints out Sheldon. And you can print out any text you want just by putting it inside of these quotation marks. Okay, so you've probably spent about an hour now just having fun printing out random stuff. Well, okay, you have a life, so you probably didn't do that. But now you know how to write a C program that prints out information to the terminal. And in the next tutorial, we will be going over some of the more complicated stuff in C, like variables, numbers, good things like that. And you'll learn a little bit more what actually happened in this tutorial. Well, I look forward to seeing you then. And again, if you find these tutorials worthwhile, don't forget to subscribe.